All right. Hey, how's it going? We are going to go over some of these tabs that I have open because I need to get these stupid things closed. And I saved them because I thought, I'm going to go back and I'm going to make some notes about it. And, there's small little lessons in a lot of these, but I want to consolidate it all and kind of put it into something meaningful. And it happens all the time, though. It's not like there's a limit to it. It's a never-ending plethora of things. Let me throw this up. All right, my peeps, here we go. This is called Shut the F Up. And this is from Brothers Outlaw. They're a couple of lawyers, and they specialize in people who are now in the business of legally distributing cannabis and all that. And they just made a quick little video here. It's not long. It's a minute long. Has almost 500,000 views. It was back in 2020 whenever they did this. But I've heard this before, and so it's only a minute long. We're going to watch it. I don't care if any of this crap gets copy striked because I just don't have enough viewers where it's going to make a matter at all. So,
Mark and Craig, Pot Brothers Outlaw. We've been warning people, if you are working for an unlicensed dispensary, an illegal dispensary, and it gets raided, you need to shut the fuck up.
So now, I don't care what people do. I don't do any of this stuff. And the title. It's not so much shut the F up. It's do not cooperate.
If you shut the fuck up, you have a good chance that we can make the case go away. Case in point, 3 employees of an illegal shop.
And so he's saying case in point, or in other words, this is a real life incident that they were involved in, or they heard about it. I forgot which. But this is a real incident that happened, and 3 people did 3 different things, and one of them got out right because they just shut the F up.
Were busted during a raid. 2 of them said, "Oh, I'm just volunteering here." The 3rd guy shut the fuck up, and the DA did not prosecute the guy who shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I've seen this plenty of times throughout my life. Whenever especially lawyers are talking about how you deal with the police, the answer from them has always been, you do nothing for them. They are not there to help you find your keys. They are not. So if you get pulled over and they ask to search your car, they're not going to look for your keys. They're looking for something illegal. They don't give a damn about anything that you're doing that's legal. That's not what they're there for. They're not there to help you cross the street. That's like Boy Scouts or something. These are police officers. They're looking for criminal activities. And, who knows? It could be that the person who had the car before you did had some kind of illegal activities that they were engaged in. They hid something. They forgot about it, and it's still there. You're unaware of it. The cop finds it, and then you're in trouble because you had it. You never let them do anything. You just never.
They can't prove what you were doing there. If you're a customer, patient, you walked in to go to the bathroom, they don't know. You got to shut the fuck up, and it's shut the fuck up front.
And this is something, too, whenever, just with people, you should be careful who you're volunteering information to, whether if it's good news or bad news, because there are just people that they will take whatever they can get, doesn't matter what it is, and they will use it as a weapon against you. Or they might use it as a weapon to play their victim status card. Oh, poor me, woe is me. And it's like, no. You need to be telling bad information, the worse that it is to, and the better that it is. You need to be careful who you're telling it to. It needs to be people who you really know, who you really trust, who have your best interests out there. It's just like I was saying yesterday, people go around and they say love just all the time. It's the most used word in the English language is love. But it should be used as much as you say hate. Hate is a strong word. So is love. Those things are opposites. You know, it should be treated like profanity. It should be used seldomly. And it's the same thing whenever you tell people about this information. You should be selective as to who you're saying this to. That people will use words as a weapon. And it's not just love or hate, it's all of it. Anyways, I'm kind of going off a little bit here. Let's continue.
Friday, so review the script. What do you say when the cop first pulls you over?
Why'd you pull me over?
And when he...
And you really don't need to ask that. I mean, I guess you do. It doesn't hurt, you know, because maybe it's something legitimate. Or you do need to, because maybe it is something like your tail light. Do not make assumptions. And if they ask, you just turn it right about, you turn it right around, right back on them, and you say, I don't know, why did you pull me over? You know, don't volunteer any information that you don't need to. Don't volunteer information to the police. They're going to use it against you. Be careful who you volunteer information to with your friends, family, and co-workers, because if they're going to use it against you, then why do it? And people do this all the time. Do not just go blabbing off about all of this stuff.
He keeps asking questions.
I'm not discussing my day.
And they ask more questions.
Am I being detained or am I free to go?
And that's a big one right there that I hear a lot. You know, am I being detained or am I free to go? Because they cannot just stop you and pull you over at their whim. They have to have reasonable, plausible cause. They can't just say, oh, I have a gut feeling. It's like, no, they have to have something tangible. And if not, then that's something that you get to use against them. And so I've looked into this before. If you are really having kind of problems with this, what you can do is today, since we have smartphones, is that, is this upside down? Is that you can download apps where you can record them, and then the app will automatically send it to some kind of saving cloud system somewhere where it's not being saved on your phone. So like to the cloud immediately as you record it. And the only way that you can get to the cloud is by you putting in some kind of password to grant access to it and then delete it. So you just, yeah, hey, I'm recording this. It's being saved, not on my phone, to the cloud. And so I can give this to anybody, anywhere I want to, and I'm not going to delete this. You know, maybe a little more tactful than that. You can say, hey, officer, just so that you know, my phone is recording. It's being saved to the cloud. So I just want to let you know I'm not trying to entrap you because, you know, you don't know. You can't read their mind. Maybe it is a good officer. Maybe it's a trashy one. But if you're having problems, do it. And then that way, they're just, let them go nuts. Let them incriminate themselves. They can't, because even if they take this away from you, what are they going to do about the cloud? They don't know what your password is. There's nothing they can do. Yeah.
And if detained, what do you say?
I invoked the fifth.
And then what do?
You know, you invoke the fifth. You do not cooperate with them. You know, you don't need to be ugly with them either. You just flat out say something like, hey, no offense, officer. It's just, I don't know you. And I've just heard enough horror stories about police officers that I would just rather not get in any kind of trouble. And I'm just not going to answer questions. I'm just going to sit here and I'm just going to go about my business. You know, now you're probably going to have to wait until the officer says, yeah, you're not being detained. But
you shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up, Friday. Never answer questions when the cops ask.
Have safe holidays.
Never answer them. There was another one where it was more about how do you deal with police who are pulling you over or they're stopping you on the streets or something like that. It's a much older video than this. It's like 10 or 15 years old. And they're in a courtroom and it's a lawyer and he's kind of talking to an audience there. And he's, same thing. Just do not listen to them. You don't have to do anything that they say. You just sit there and you do nothing, you know. And if they do insist on cuffing you and taking you, you have to understand that the cop is not a legal expert. It's not a lawyer. It's not a judge. Didn't go to law school. Didn't do any of that stuff. And it's just like, yeah. So I just need to go over some of these. Let me pull up another one. All right. And so before we get into this next one, just kind of how things are going. with my New Year's resolution is that I'm doing a fast right now. Yesterday was the start of it, but I was curious about eating just a little bit to see how that worked out, if it was kind of associated with habit, like they kind of claim, and it seemed like it did. However, today it was much worse. My wanting to eat was insane, and I actually did pretty good. I did fumble, but just a little bit. I did have coffee. It's like I'm allowing myself to have coffee and to chew gum. And come about noon, whenever I normally eat lunch, it was it was coming at me pretty hard. I managed to kind of go through it, and it stayed. And part of it is because my times aren't quite 100% set. It's just, when is this a good time? Until about, I guess, about 4 or 5. And that's usually about the time whenever I'm done eating for the day. I try to do intermittent fasting where I have a period of which I eat and then the rest of the time that I don't. But sometimes in the evenings I kind of eat a little bit. And so I guess about 30 minutes to an hour ago I did eat. However, it was just, I had a little bit of mustard and some pesto. It's because I don't have any food. I just have some condiments. And it's like, all right, well, the mustard is like 5 calories, a teaspoon or something like that, or a tablespoon. It's like next to nothing. It's just ridiculous. But it's got some flavor to it, and a little bit of kick. And the same thing with the pesto, and the texture to it was a little different. And I was curious again. I was like, well, is some of this just kind of having to go through the motions? Do I really need to stuff my face, or just playing through it? Is that going to be enough? And that was kind of enough. I'm still hungry, but I'm satiated a lot more than what I was. My stomach was actually growling a little bit, and I guess kind of why I'm able to kind of push through it a little bit is that, again, I've already lost 50 pounds, and so this isn't anything new to me. It's like, yeah, I've been hungry before. My stomach has been grumbling at me, and it's a bit of a pull to go through it. And I heard somebody explain it in a way that I could relate to, that made a little bit more sense, that made it a little easier to deal with. And that was to think of, your hunger pains kind of like a soreness. Whenever you exercise too much, whenever you're kind of pushing your body in that way, you get sore. And whenever you're pushing your body with eating less, this is kind of its reaction to that. It's like, oh, yeah, okay. Just a little FYI that I thought I'd share. And so I guess this is kind of my first day of doing it. I was thinking about how long. I think I've heard that after 2 or 3 days, the hunger pains kind of go away. And I was thinking about it. Isn't this kind of how lions do it? They only eat like 2 or 3 times a week. They go out and they do a kill. They kind of gorge themselves and eat a lot, and then that's it. And it's like, that would be kind of really nice if you only had to cook 2 or 3 times a week, and then you just go without, kind of have, a couple of big meals, 2, 3 times a week, cook the meals, go and do shopping and having a lower food bill, because all of this stuff really kind of compounds on itself. I was having to wear clothes from the big and tall section. Little kids don't cost very much for their clothing because it's not a lot of material that's being used. And there was definitely a price increase whenever I had to go start shopping at the big and tall. So the clothes cost less. The medical, all my friends and family members who are overweight, they have high blood pressure, they have diabetes problems, they're on medications, they have problems getting around, pains. I have one person that I know where he's on a ventilator because he is just so big that he's having problems with it, and it's his job that's kind of making him do it. I don't know if he actually notices any kind of problems, but that doesn't mean anything at all. There are plenty of things that are going wrong with all of us right now. Just because you're oblivious to it doesn't mean that it's not there. And then, so you also have a lower food bill with your clothing. Just with your car, it means a little bit less in gas, and your brakes aren't wearing as much. And I know it's small little things, but it's with everything all the time. I'm friends with this other landlord, and he was telling me about how he rented his place out to a couple who were extremely large, and he had put down tile in the bathroom, and they were so big that they broke it just by walking on it. And it's like, and I tell you what, I don't like maintaining my car. I like for my car to have as few issues as possible. It's just extremely expensive. I don't go driving around if I really don't need to. It's just why. But I did a lot of it today. I put the rental unit on the market today, and I got hit up with a dozen people inquiring about it. Maybe I need to raise the price, and I already did raise the price. I thought it was enough, but if this is the way that it's going to continue, maybe I need to do it some more, and I know why. It's because Texas, we're not shut down. It's just everything is just normal. Nothing is going on. The only people who wear masks are people who are at their jobs, and that's because their employers are forcing them to. But nobody does. Well, I guess there's a few people who do kind of wear it walking around. It's mainly older people or people who are overweight. Kids aren't doing it at all. People who are in shape, very few of them are doing it. And it's like, why? You know what? If you're out of shape and you're not taking care of yourself, that's your problem. I don't need to take care of you. It's just like if you choose to go out and gorge yourself and be overweight, now you have all these health problems. It's like, that's not my problem. You did that to yourself. Nobody came up to you with a gun and said that you needed to do this stuff. I saw an article where it was talking about this woman who had lost her husband supposedly because of COVID, and it said that he did everything that he was supposed to. It's like, the hell he did. This guy looks like he's as pale as a ghost, and he's like twice the size that I am. He did anything except what he was supposed to do. Wearing a mask is nothing. They don't ever talk about this stuff, about what you really should be doing, how you need to go outside, how you need to clean up your diet, how you need to exercise. The things that have proven that they actually help. It's like, why isn't that getting tossed around with people? It's like, you know what, and if you don't want to, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. But I have a problem whenever it is being forced on me to take care of other people's issues for their bad choices. It's like, well, when is it my turn? It's like, you know what? It shouldn't be my turn. It should never be my turn or anyone else's turn. That's just life. Anyways, this is Young Ripper 59. The title of this video is, I'm sure this is just a coincidence, and he's talking about my coronavirus here.
COVID vaccine profits meant 9 new pharma billionaires. Okay? When you see the CEO of Pfizer, and he is, for whatever reason, being interviewed by the corporate press about his thoughts on and all that, about when it'll be safe to return to some sort of normalcy. And he, of course, explains that, oh, yeah, we may be able to get there, but yeah, it'll require you guys to basically get boosters. Now, to the person who has bought into the fear mongering, or worse, they just want this to be true.
And I tell you, that's all that it is, because that's all that you hear constantly. And I've said this for a while now, is that I do not care about the cases. I do not care at all, because it's like 60, 70% of people who have COVID don't even know that they have it. So if you have not had a confirmed case of COVID, that doesn't mean that you haven't had it. You might have gotten it and not even know about it. The only way to know for sure is to go to the doctor, get tested, and find out for sure. But I've gone and I've looked at and pulled up studies, and if I was doing that little sheet, I have all of that information right there. And so you can look at one of my older videos where we're going over that stuff, and it's like, and whenever I see something like this, COVID vaccine profits meant 9 new pharma billionaires. And it's gone up because I know I was aware of this whenever they were at 7 billionaires out of this. So of course they're going to say this. Why wouldn't they? Because it's the same thing. It's like That's not their problem. It's not their fault. If people want to believe in this stuff, that it's much worse than what it is, and they want to spend their money doing it, it's fine. I don't care. Go ahead. Knock yourself out. But whenever you start forcing me to do it, I have a problem with it.
So bad that this is like this apocalyptic virus. To those people, they will act like, okay, that means something, without actually looking at what the hell that is, what's being said here or discussed. What you have is someone acting in their own self-interest. And by own self-interest, I mean, of course, the business that he.
And this is something that's going on with politicians. You are not going to tell me for 1 second that these pharmaceutical companies are not working with politicians, that there are not plenty, I guess maybe not all of them, but definitely enough where they're getting paid some way, one way or another, somehow. They're getting money for this. I do not care for Republicans or Democrats, because the Democrats will push for crazy stuff and Republicans don't do anything about it. I have to say, Trump is one that I do like more than the others. He's not perfect, not by any stretch of the imagination, but one of the things that he did do was that he did pass the Right to Try Act, which is ridiculous that this had to be done. But basically what it comes down to is that if you are being told by doctors that there's nothing that we can do for you, you are going to die, then what this allows is that you can try any kind of experimental drug or surgery or whatever it is that they want to try. You can try it and knock yourself out, because I mean, what do you have to lose? It's like, it would be something like, you have cancer, it's nothing that we can treat, it's going to kill you. Then you can go out there and you can try whatever you want. And I don't understand why that should be a thing in the first place. It's like, even if you're perfectly healthy, if you've decided that that is what you want to do, then why not? The only time I would have issues with it, if it was somebody who is mentally incapable of making decisions for themselves. And a good show of that would be children, senior citizens in cognitive decline, or, I mean, people who are homeless, who are kind of living on the streets. I would say that those people are incapable of making decisions for themselves, because, I mean, there they are. So, but, if you've got a job, if you're taking care of yourself, if you're able to manage yourself through society, and you decide that this is something that you want to do for whatever reasons you deem fit, it's like, why should anybody be telling you to no, not to? Maybe that they have a child or parent who's suffering through this, and they're like, you know what, I want to do what I can to help out. It looks like that this drug or procedure is extremely promising looking, and I can donate my healthy body because that's what they need. It's like, and that's what I choose to do. I guess the only kickback on that would be is that, but if you live, but it doesn't do as it's supposed to, and you end up being unable to take care of yourself, and now we all have to, maybe there's an argument there with that. I think we'll do one more. Alright, so here's something that I like talking about a lot, and that is lies and misinformation and the nonsense that's going on. And so this one is from Tim Cast IRL. That's the name of his YouTube channel. Is it showing up there? Yeah. The title of the video is Media Outlets Lied About Trump and the Steele Dossier. Journalists and politicians got caught. This whole thing is just, it's ridiculous. And one of the things that I try to do is I don't want to get my information from just one source. I want to hear what commentators have to say, even politicians, journalists. If there is science, I want to know what the research is saying. I want to hear from experts. And that's why I have so many of these tabs open. That's why I've got YouTube videos and articles and just all of this. So It's like a Hillsdale College. Is this? Yeah, Hillsdale College. I really like them a lot. Anyways, so let's listen to a little bit of a temple here.
Let's talk about the Steele dossier, man.
Yes.
So we have this story from the Washington Post, and this is a little bit more in the weeds on the politics, but this is really, really important. So for those that are just tuning in or who are not familiar with what's going on with the Steele dossier and the Durham investigation, I'll put it simply: for years there were lies from Democrats and the media about Trump colluding with Russia. None of it was true. And now it looks like the people who perpetrated the hoax for years are starting to get charged. And so we have this story from the Washington Post
So this is so stupid. This is so absolutely stupid. Whenever Trump was running for being president, which was over 4 years ago, because a president's term is 4 years. You can do 2 terms as president for a total of 8 years, and then there's no third term. They did this. They started before he was president, whenever he was doing his campaigning. They all just flat out lie. Journalists, politicians just lied through their teeth. And it's because you are not going to convince me for 1 second that, oh, well, they were told the truth, or this is what they actually believed. It's like, I don't care, because this is their job. It's the journalist's job, their paid job, to report on the news, to not lie, to tell the truth, and they did not do their due diligence. They did not dig up the story. They did not do their fact checking. They didn't do any of that. And the same thing with the politicians. And if they didn't want to do it, they didn't have to. There's plenty of other things to talk about. But they just did all this. And you know why? Because it's clickbait.
Indictment of Steele dossier source is more bad news for multiple media outlets. Let me just break this down very simply for those that may not understand the in-the-weeds stuff. The media lied, they're caught. Political operatives lied, they're caught. Politicians lied and got caught. And Cash, you have a lot of information about this.
Yeah. So look, the Steele dossier, and I don't think I've ever actually told anyone this, but when I was running the Russiagate investigation for Chairman Nunes, initially the media wanted to call it the Trump dossier, and I said, no, we're going to call it the Steele dossier. So because I said this thing is fraudulent. So if you're going to tie it to someone, tie it to the author. And we changed the narrative real quick in the early days, and it stuck.
Wow.
And actually, I've never told that to anybody. And so
I'm not sure who this guy is. It was a while ago whenever I watched this. When was this? I don't know why sometimes they have a date in it and sometimes they don't. Anyways, it's at least a month old, or probably closer to 2 or 3 months by now. Where's the accountability for them? If the politicians, if they are lying about this, what else are they lying about? Do you know that if you go to court and you lie before the judge, then they can claim that everything that you've said is a lie? If there is one thing that you do not do, is that you do not go to court and lie. It's a big part of what they do, of what a judge does, is that the judge is going to go back and forth to the plaintiff and defendant to try to sort out what the truth is, to get the story straight. And they are looking for the one who is lying. Now, people can lie unintentionally because it is their understanding of it. There's definitely murky waters. Everything's not black and white. There's plenty of gray. And the more people you have involved, the kind of the blurrier the lines are. And that's part of the judge's job. You can watch old judge shows like Judge Joe Judy, Judge Joe Brown, and they do it constantly. They question both sides, and they'll talk about, don't lie to me. Don't you come into this court and lie to me. It's not going to work in your favor. And whenever they pass judgment, they'll say that constantly. I used to like them. I used to watch them quite a bit because those things have been around for decades. I used to watch. I was watching those things whenever I was in high school. I guess junior high too. I mean, not that often. I'm not saying that I was eagerly watching those, but everything was kind of slow and was wanting something to do, and it was called channel surfing, and you just go through the channels until you found something, and it's like that would work. I wasn't interested in soap operas or anything like that. Why do they have their jobs? You know what? If you lied about your job and what you were doing, do you think that you would keep it? I've never known a job like that if I were to lie at my job whenever I was working somewhere, if I was lying whenever I was a soldier, whenever I was lying working at the prison as a correctionals officer, whenever I was working as a technician for DirecTV, if I'd ever lied to any of them or to my supervisors or the customers or whatever, I would have lost my job. Why are they being treated with kid gloves? Why do they have this special treatment? They have more power than I've ever had my entire life. They should be under more scrutiny, that they can do more than what the average person can, and they just get away with this. So it's curious then. They lied here. Are they lying about my coronavirus? Are they helping people to get really rich and them as well? I have so much planned with what it is that I'm going to do with creating this website. And this is one of it, is making people be accountable for the lies and the nonsense. And these companies and these politicians, I am so fed up with it. And I also want to bring together information to just make people as free as possible, where you're not having to live in fear, because here's the truth. I tell you what, I'm going to make people into scientists. It's not like it's a secret. It's basically the scientific method, and that we can have people do this, that there's not some kind of magic that's held around universities or scientific research centers or whatever. It's like, no, because whenever they want to conduct a study with the population, you know what they do? They just ask. It used to be that they would just put stuff up on campus, asking for volunteers back in the day with school. Whenever I was in the Army, they had that where whenever you got done with basic training, they just asked all the soldiers who were graduating if you wanted to go in and do some of this stuff. And the one that they had currently that they asked was they wanted to test earplugs to see how effective they were, because there was something different about them. And the way that it was going to work was that you were going to have the earplugs in, you were in a room, and then there was going to be a hole beside you. And in the next room, they were going to blast off explosives. And then they were going to test your ear sensitivity. And it causes temporary hearing loss on a minor level. The way that they explained it was that whenever you go to a concert and you're listening to music and it's all blaring really loud, and maybe if you're really listening to it and you're close to the speaker, you're going to have some temporary hearing loss. You can lose it completely. You get ringing in the ears. And so that's what they were going to do. And if you decided to go ahead and do this, you were going to get additional pay. I forgot what they called it. It wasn't hazard pay. It was experimental testing pay or something like that. And they spouted that it's not going to be temporary damage. And it's like, I don't know that. I am not a doctor. I don't know anything about ears, and I don't trust you. You were my drill instructor for a few months, and I didn't know you before then, and now that I'm done, chances are I'm never going to see you again. So why should I believe you? And you're not a doctor either. So it's just like, no, it's like, I don't need money that bad. That's ridiculous. So what's going to happen to these people? Are they going to be fined? Are they going to be kicked out of office? Are they going to lose their jobs as journalists? Where's it going to be? With my website, anybody's going to be able to put this information down there. Now you're going to have proof and evidence, and it's going to be a bunch of thumbs up, thumbs downs, checks and balances, and all that. So, yeah. All right. Went and got some coffee. I like you the coffee. A side effect of this coffee drinking is that I've actually been doing it for a little while now, for the past few weeks, kind of late at night, and it's keeping me up a little bit too much. But it's like I want to do stuff because I feel like I'm not doing enough. And so I've come up with those things with how to deal with procrastination so that you can accomplish more through your day. And it was one of them was that don't endlessly research stuff. You know, if you're just endlessly researching stuff, then you need to stop and you need to get yourself organized and you need to lay out goals, targets for things for you to hit. And if you just can't make a decision, then do something. Do whatever's going to be the quickest and most efficient thing to do. And I actually came up with something because I was thinking about things that I do on a daily basis. And one of them was brushing my teeth. Because I'm getting up in the morning and it's like, well, the first thing that I do is I go to the restroom. You're holding it in all night. And it's like, yeah, you go and you get rid of it. And it's like, well, I should brush my teeth while I'm here. But it's like, but I'm going to go at least drink coffee or maybe eat eggs or something like that. And it's like, why clean my teeth and brush them and then go screw them up immediately afterwards? It's like, well, I don't want to go all the way down to the bathroom because it's down there. And it's an annoying thing to do just to brush my teeth. And then I thought of this old show called Mythbusters. And it's like, it's not old to me because I watched it back in the day with Adam and Jamie there. And in one of the episodes, because they came to a point kind of early on where you could ask them to do things that the viewers, I forgot how you could do it. I guess the internet was around back then, that you could submit your requests. And so one of them was about how dirty bathrooms are, something along those lines in relation to your toothbrush. And so they conducted an experiment where they had toothbrushes kind of all over the bathroom, and people were going in there and doing their business as normal. And then they took it in and they tested it, and it had feces all over it because it's just little particles and it just goes all over the place, just like whenever you talk, you know, particles are going out, and whenever stuff is going down and it lands, you know, it splatters a little bit, and it was all there. Number one and number two. And I was like, you know what? Why do we brush our teeth in there? You know, does that really make sense? Wouldn't it make more sense to brush your teeth in the kitchen? It's like, yeah, I get it. You know, you go to the bathroom and you're doing pretty much two things. You're cleaning out your innards whenever you're using the toilet, and then you're cleaning out the outside whenever you take a shower or you wash your hands, and then I guess you're cleaning your teeth whenever you brush your teeth. But is that really the most effective, efficient way of doing it? It's like, well, wouldn't it be more effective and efficient to have it in the kitchen? So then that way, whenever you're done eating breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or a snack that probably put away in a cabinet or a drawer, you could pull out your toothpaste and toothbrush and go at it immediately. And it's like, that sounds really good to me. Because one of the problems that I have, or one of the things that would help with my hunger, is that as soon as I'm done eating and I'm putting my plate away or my cup or whatever, brush my teeth. It's like, yes, absolutely. And then with the little nice thing on top of not having all that nastiness on top of it. And they didn't suggest this at all. Their suggestion was that they even had toothbrushes that were in the drawer. And it's like, even that had, now it was obviously a lot less. And they were saying stuff like, well, you can buy little containers to put your toothbrush in, you know, and so that would help with it quite a bit. And it's like, well, let's take it a little bit further. So I want to be able to think of this more and more. And I've got that notebook that I have, and that might be it. I have several of them where I want to create kind of a sound routine to help me be more productive. And then another one was that if you find yourself just kind of endlessly doing something, you know, make the decision based off of, is this going to progress you towards your goal and actually doing something now? And if it's not, then you need to not do it, or perhaps you don't have clear enough goals. So anyways, I guess I'm just going to finish up by doing a little bit of rambling. I've got this 3D printer over here, and it took me forever to get the second Z-axis rod right here, because I bought a kit to put a second stepper motor on it, since it's a little bit larger there. And I had to order 3 of these things up because they said that the threading on these were correct, but they weren't. I forgot what it was, but they were all a little bit different. And so whenever the threading is different on both of them, then one of them is going to, because the threading was sharper, that meant that it was going to go down faster over there than on the other side. And they kept mislabeling them. And then the second, and so with the kit that I bought, that access screw was correct, but it was too short because it was just for the Ender 3, and I have the Ender 3 Max, so it's larger and it's higher. So that wasn't going to work. And it has 2 motors on it, and it had a Y split to it, so it could connect up both motors. But the split also was not long enough because it's larger, and so they're further apart. Couldn't do that. And I finally got one that was long enough, connected it both up, and now the stupid motors, one motor is going clockwise and the other damn thing's going counterclockwise. It's like I just can't catch a break with this damn thing. So I took this damn rod out, and it's like, you know what, screw it. I'm still going to work on it and try to figure it out, but I need to start getting on Blender, which is a 3D software CAD program that I'm going to use for this because it's free and it's really a high-end one. They actually use it for AAA games out there, and it's like, well, that's good enough for me. And the guy who owns the company said a big reason why he's made it free is because he loves all the creativity that people are able to do with all this kind of stuff, and he wants to see more of it, and you're hindering it whenever you're putting a price tag on it. Because if people are really being successful with this and they're being productive with it, and this is something that they're relying on, they're going to donate to you because they need it. And it's like, that sounds freaking fantastic, and that's exactly what I want to do with this, is that I want my website to be able to provide people with being as creative as they can, because it's so ridiculous. You know, like Lucasfilm selling Star Wars off to Disney. It's like they have stupid Star Wars movies out there, and I don't mean just the dumb ones that they've done with let's see if I can find it. All right, so this is where I like to go to watch all of my movies and TV shows and whatever, and I'm hiding the link because I don't know, I just, whatever. But I just typed in Star Wars, and you have to fight these little ads that pop up all the time, so they're going to show up. But they have all of these Star Wars movies that people have just made. Just bear with me here. You know, here's one, Star Wars Aeon. It's like 8 minutes from Turkey. No. Here's one. Breaking Point, a Star Wars story. I don't know how long it is. It looks like it's somewhere from a Scandinavian country with names that are involved with it. Odyssey, a Star Wars 12 minutes. And they vary. They're from very short to very long to a full-length movie. Some of them have really good special effects. Some of them just totally blow completely. Remnants of the Order, a Star Wars fan film, 23 minutes from the Netherlands. And you know what? The overwhelming majority of them are trash. Just garbage. You know why? Because you cannot stick the Star Wars name on it, and it's going to be a blockbuster. And that's exactly what happened with Disney. They had this stupid mindset. Well, we just put Star Wars on it, and it's just going to sell. And in a way, it kind of did, because Star Wars and Disney is kind of a big thing. But it's like, you know what? If you're able to take Star Wars and you're able to use that name and you just click with it and you're able to produce something good, it's like, why the hell not? Disney and George Lucas and them, they're not entitled to a damn thing. Just because they put those two words together, Star Wars, or any other amount of words, doesn't mean anything. If you came up with this storyline and you were able to put the money together for the special effects and get the actors, that's your work. It's so ridiculous. It's like there are plenty of, if you have like a movie, a legit movie from Hollywood, and you have like Coca-Cola that's somewhere that's in it, there's money that exchanges back and forth for it, and you have to deal with copyright and trade laws and all that kind of garbage. Why is it only for a select few? It's like if I build something, if I create something, some furniture or whatever, are they going to have to come to me to get my permission to do that? Is there going to be any kind of money exchange for that? But if I have clothing and it has certain companies' names on it, then it has to happen for that. And then they get to say, well, we had to do more in order for that. We had to hire more people and do more negotiations to get all this. So now the movie's going to have to, we're going to have to sell it for a little bit more. I guess, I don't know if they still do Blu-ray or not, but we're going to have to sell it for more. We're going to have to keep it in theaters longer. You know, it's like, which means more money out of our pockets that you're taking from us. You know, something kind of along those lines. It's like, why did they get this special treatment? You know what? If that's my furniture that's being used, you need to pay me. If that's my clothing, if this is whatever that I've done, if it's something that you've done, it's like, because you're small, you're going to just get screwed over. And take it in the, what if they did have to do that for every single thing that they had to contact the company or the manufacturer or the person or whoever for every article of clothing, for every pencil and piece of paper, everything that they did not create there on set, that they had to track somebody down and they had to handle royalties in some way. Nothing would ever get made. So why just this selective group of companies or individuals? Trash. All right, that's good enough. And this is taking forever. I'm going to have to look into this. It took like an hour and a half to 2 hours to do roughly a 50-minute video upload to these sites. It's like, it's got to be my new video card, and that it's got more to it. And it's like, when am I going to have the time to do that? I don't know. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you later. Bye.